I'm stressed out of my mind over here. I don't need you on the phone over there, and I don't need you down there, okay?
I was helping Johnny.
Listen, you're supposed to be here. Ron told you that you're supposed to be here, and you need to get the bike done. I'm the guy that pays your check. You stay here on the bike all day long.
At its peak, American Chopper wasn't just a television show. It was chaos on wheels. Every episode felt like a ticking time bomb, where sparks didn't just fly from welding torches, but from explosive arguments that shook the walls of Orange County choppers. Viewers tuned in expecting custom motorcycles. But what kept them glued was something far more intense, a family tearing itself apart under the pressure of fame. Money and ego. Paul Tutul Sr.'s thunderous voice became as iconic as the bikes themselves. Paul Jr.'s silent frustration simmered until it boiled over. Mikey cracked jokes to survive an environment that seemed built to crush him. And all around them, skilled builders tried to do their jobs while navigating one of the most volatile workplaces ever shown on reality TV. This wasn't scripted drama, it was raw emotion. Broadcast to millions. But when the cameras stopped rolling, the real consequences began. Fame faded. Relationships fractured. Careers shifted. Some cast members found peace far away from the spotlight, while others struggled to hold on to the identity the show gave them. The motorcycles may have been finished, but their personal journeys were just beginning. So today, we're looking back at the cast members of American Chopper, not as TV characters, but as real people. Where did life take them after the shouting stopped? Who rebuilt their lives and who walked away forever? This is American Chopper, and where they are now. Paul Tutul Sr. was never just a boss. He was a force of nature. Long before American Chopper turned him into a household name, Paul Sr. had already lived a hard, disciplined life shaped by his time as a merchant marine and a Vietnam War veteran. That background defined everything about him. He believed respect was earned through pressure, authority, and unrelenting standards. When he founded Orange County Choppers, he didn't build it like a business. He built it like a command post. When American Chopper first aired, Paul Sr. immediately became its most dominant presence. His booming voice, fiery temper, and take no prisoners leadership style weren't created for television. They were simply who he was. The cameras just happened to catch it all. Viewers were shocked, fascinated, and glued to their screens. For some, he was terrifying. For others, he was authentic. Either way, he was unforgettable. Under his leadership, Orange County Choppers exploded. What began as a small fabrication shop turned into a global brand almost overnight. Corporate sponsors lined up for custom bikes, each one designed to promote a company, a cause, or a massive event. OCC motorcycles weren't just machines, they were moving billboards, symbols of early 2000s excess and ambition. Paul Sr. stood at the center of it all. The unquestioned authority figure who demanded perfection and got results. But inside the shop, cracks were forming. Paul Sr.'s rigid control came at a personal cost, especially within his own family. His relationship with his sons, particularly Paul Jr., grew increasingly strained. Paul Jr. was the creative soul of OCC, responsible for many of the show's most iconic designs. While Paul Sr. valued discipline and deadlines, Paul Jr. thrived on artistic freedom. Their philosophies clashed constantly, and those clashes became the emotional core of the show. What made it worse was that none of it stayed private. Every argument, every insult, every slammed door played out in front of millions. Fame didn't soften Paul Sr.'s approach, it amplified it. As ratings climbed, so did expectations, pressure, and resentment. The shop became a battlefield where business, family, and ego collided daily. Eventually, the inevitable happened. Paul Jr. left Orange County Choppers, turning a deeply personal family fracture into a public spectacle. Lawsuits followed. Relationships broke down, and the empire Paul Sr. built began to shrink. Without the creative engine that once powered OCC's identity, the shop struggled to maintain its cultural relevance. In the years that followed, Orange County Choppers downsized significantly. The massive television-driven operation faded, replaced by a more modest business focused on select builds, branding projects, and legacy preservation. Paul Sr. faced financial challenges, public criticism, and the reality that control alone couldn't sustain what fame had created. Today, Paul Tutul Sr. still runs Orange County Choppers. But the man fans see now is noticeably different. Age, health struggles, and time have reshaped him. His public persona is calmer, more reflective, and far less explosive. He speaks openly about mistakes, growth, and lessons learned, a stark contrast to the fiery figure audiences once feared. Paul Sr.'s story is ultimately one of ambition and consequence. He achieved global success and built an empire from raw determination. But the price was paid in fractured relationships and personal sacrifice. American Chopper didn't just document custom motorcycles, it captured the rise of a man who ruled through control, and the heavy cost that control demanded. If Paul Tutul Sr. represented authority and structure, Paul Tutul Jr. represented creativity and vision. From the earliest episodes of American Chopper, it was clear that Paul Jr. wasn't just another builder, he was the artistic soul of Orange County Choppers. While others focused on mechanics, Paul Jr. thought in shapes, symbolism, and storytelling. Each bike wasn't just meant to run. It was meant to say something. Paul Jr.'s designs quickly became the visual identity of OCC, the sharp lines. Dramatic themes and bold concepts helped separate Orange County Choppers from every other custom shop in the country. Corporate clients didn't just want a motorcycle, they wanted a Paul Jr. build. His talent elevated the brand to an international level, turning OCC bikes into centerpieces at major events and exhibitions. But inside the shop, Paul Jr.'s success came with constant friction. Paul Jr. struggled under his father's leadership. Paul Sr.'s management style left little room for discussion or flexibility, while Paul Jr. thrived in environments that allowed creative freedom. Their arguments weren't simply about deadlines or designs, they were about respect, independence, and recognition. Paul Jr. wanted to be seen as a partner, not a subordinate. Paul Sr. demanded obedience, not debate. As the show grew more popular, the tension intensified. Cameras followed every confrontation, turning deeply personal conflicts into entertainment. Paul Jr. often appeared withdrawn, frustrated, and emotionally exhausted. Viewers watched him slowly shut down as every idea became a fight and every success sparked another power struggle. Fame didn't protect him, it trapped him. Eventually, the pressure became unbearable. Paul Jr. made the decision that changed American Chopper forever. He walked away from Orange County Choppers. The departure wasn't quiet or dignified. It involved lawsuits, public statements, and years of bitterness. For fans, it felt like watching the heart of the show rip itself out, but walking away was also Paul Jr.'s rebirth. Free from OKC, he launched Paul Jr. Designs, betting everything on his talent and reputation. It was a massive risk. Without his father's shop, resources, or brand, Paul Jr. had to prove he wasn't just a supporting character, he was the main act. And he succeeded. Paul Jr. Designs quickly gained attention for high-end builds, creative fabrication projects, and artistic installations that went far beyond motorcycles. Television followed him again with American Chopper, Sr. vs. Jr., where viewers saw a different side of Paul Jr., calmer, more confident, and finally in control of his own vision. For the first time, he was leading without shouting, creating without fear, and building on his own terms. Over time, Paul Jr.'s life shifted away from constant conflict. He focused on family, stability, and selective projects rather than nonstop fame. His relationship with Paul Sr., once defined by anger and lawsuits, slowly softened. While the scars never fully disappeared, distance allowed room for mutual respect to return. Today, Paul Tutul Jr. continues working as a designer and fabricator, choosing creativity over chaos. He no longer needs to prove himself through television drama or public battles. His journey stands as one of the most powerful arcs in American Chopper history, the story of a man who chose independence over control and peace over power. Paul Jr. didn't just leave Orange County Choppers. He escaped a system that couldn't contain him and built a life where creativity finally came first. From the very beginning of American Chopper, Mikey Tutul felt like an outsider in his own family. While Orange County Choppers was built on aggression, discipline, and nonstop pressure, Mikey moved to a completely different rhythm. He joked when others yelled, avoided confrontation when tempers exploded, and often seemed uncomfortable in an environment that rewarded toughness over sensitivity. That contrast made him memorable, but it also made him a target. On television, Mikey was frequently portrayed as lazy or unmotivated. His father openly criticized him, coworkers questioned his value, and the show leaned into his role as comic relief. Audiences laughed, but few realized that Mikey wasn't failing to fit in. He was quietly struggling. The OCC shop wasn't just loud. It was emotionally overwhelming, and Mikey absorbed that stress daily. Unlike Paul Jr., Mikey never wanted to dominate the business or leave his creative mark on custom bikes. His role at OCC felt forced, shaped more by family expectations than personal passion. As the show grew more popular, the pressure only intensified. Fame didn't bring confidence, it magnified insecurity. Being judged by millions while also being dismissed at work slowly eroded his sense of self-worth. Behind the scenes, Mikey was dealing with depression and anxiety, though those battles were invisible on camera. Humor became his shield. Jokes covered discomfort, and laughter softened pain that had no safe outlet. Eventually, the weight became too heavy. Mikey made a decision that shocked some fans but saved his sanity. He walked away from Orange County Choppers and stepped out of the public eye, leaving. The show was not an escape from responsibility. It was an act of survival. Mikey relocated to North Carolina, deliberately choosing distance from the shop, the cameras, and the family dynamics that had defined his adult life. In the quiet, he began discovering who he actually was, not who television portrayed him to be. That journey led him to art. Painting became Mikey's emotional language. Through bold colors and expressive forms, he processed years of frustration, rejection, and unresolved pain. Art gave him something OCC never did: space to breathe. At the same time, he began speaking openly about mental health, sharing his struggles with depression and anxiety. His honesty resonated deeply with fans who had once laughed at him without understanding the cost. Over time, public perception shifted. The joke of American Chopper became one of its most human stories. Mikey showed that stepping away from toxic environments is not weakness, it's strength. He reframed his narrative from failure to healing, from ridicule to resilience. Today, Mikey Tutuel lives a quiet, grounded life focused on family, creativity, and well-being. He avoids the spotlight, choosing peace over recognition. The chaos of Orange County Choppers no longer defines him. Instead, his story stands as a powerful reminder that success isn't always measured in fame or fortune. Sometimes, it's measured in peace of mind. While the Tutuel family drama fueled ratings, American Chopper would never have survived without the builders who showed up every day and did the real work. These men weren't chasing fame or dominance. They were craftsmen caught in the crossfire of egos, deadlines, and television pressure. And when the cameras faded, many of them chose a very different path from reality TV. Rick Petco was one of the most respected figures to ever walk through Orange County Choppers. Calm, methodical, and highly skilled, Rick rarely raised his voice, even when chaos erupted around him. Fans trusted him because he represented something rare on the show: professionalism without theatrics. When deadlines were impossible and tensions ran high, when deadlines were impossible and tensions ran high, Rick was often the one quietly making sure the bike actually got finished. Eventually, Rick stepped away from OCC and launched Petco Custom Cycles, where craftsmanship mattered more than conflict. Free from constant shouting and television-driven drama, he thrived. He continued building high-end motorcycles and hot rods, earning respect across the custom industry. Rick later returned briefly during American Chopper revivals, but on his own terms. Today, he remains a symbol of what OCC could have been without constant turmoil: talent, focus, and pride in the work. Vinny DiMartino represented loyalty in its purest form. As a precision machinist, his skills were undeniable, but his defining trait was allegiance, especially to Paul Jr. When the shop split in two, Vinny didn't hesitate. He walked away from Orange County Choppers alongside Paul Jr., choosing principle over security. Vinny joined Paul Jr. Designs, helping rebuild a new creative space from the ground up. But unlike others, he never seemed comfortable with long-term fame. Over time, Vinny stepped away from television entirely, returning to a private life centered on family and traditional mechanical work. He didn't chase interviews or attention. His legacy lives quietly in the machines he helped create, not in reruns. Cody Connolly's story is one of the most overlooked and perhaps the most unsettling. He joined Orange County Choppers as a teenager, learning his trade while millions watched. Instead of a normal apprenticeship, Cody grew up inside a pressure cooker of adult conflict, cameras, and public judgment. As he matured. Cody grew up inside a pressure cooker of adult conflict, cameras, and public judgment. As he matured, Cody began questioning the environment he was raised in professionally. Eventually, he left OCC, choosing to continue working in fabrication away from reality television. Today, Cody lives a private life, occasionally reflecting on how unusual and difficult it was to grow up under constant scrutiny. His experience highlights a hidden cost of reality TV, when young lives are shaped by entertainment before they're fully formed. Then there was Jim Quinn, the enforcer behind the scenes. Gruff, disciplined, and unfiltered, Jim served as shop manager and often clashed with Paul Sr. His role wasn't to be liked. It was to keep order. And in a shop defined by chaos. That wasn't easy. Jim eventually retired from Orange County Choppers and stepped away from public life. He passed away in 2020, and the response from fans and former cast members was telling. Despite his rough exterior, he was remembered as fair, hardworking, and essential to OCC's success during its most demanding years. Together, these men represent the other side of American Chopper, the side that didn't scream, sue, or seek the spotlight. When the show ended, many of them found something the Toodles struggled to achieve. Balanced. The legacy of American Chopper isn't just about motorcycles or meltdowns. It's about what happens when real people are placed under unreal pressure. Some broke, some rebuilt, and some quietly walked away, choosing peace over fame.